Hi and welcome to AFTV News Daily with me, Cecil G and James B. James, how are you?
Calmed down, I think last time I was on this set I wasn't the happiest.
You weren't happy? I think you had a right. I think as both of us weren't very happy.
It's a bad. It's been the bad day for Arsenal, and the day after we're here in hoodies and hats and just kind of like. Yeah,
it's a big giveaway.
It's the AFTV match today. It's not the Arsenal match.
It's a big. It's a big giveaway. The hats and just long nights and just. I guess like you just said there, you came in. We both came in pretty deflated. Weren't very happy with the performance and what we saw. We both were at the game.
Yeah.
Obviously we had people here obviously in the studio doing the watch along, but we were at the game. Let's just start by just asking. I want to ask you. How did you feel being in the stadium? Was there anything different, do you think, than being watching it from, obviously, these guys at the studio? Did you... Because there's things I saw that, I don't know if they saw, obviously, fans left quite early. I saw fans even at 70th. I think they might have actually panned to it because these guys knew about it when I came back. But I don't know if you saw the fans leaving quite early in the game.
Yeah, but okay, so basically, I mentioned this on full time, one of Arsenal's screens didn't work.
Oh, yes.
So... the angle I had, I could only see the bottom half of the other screen. So I kept trying to have a look at what minute it was, and all I could really gauge was the first digit. So I'd be like, all right, we're over 70 minutes in or whatever. So I noticed people leaving. I personally believe in staying and watching the match and supporting the team on. But people have lives, people have kids, people have families, people have jobs, people have... last trains to catch. People have reasons why they leave early. Some people might just have been disgusted with the performance and wanted to leave. Some of them, I don't know. It could be any reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I stayed to the end. I saw the late equaliser, obviously.
Yeah.
I celebrated. I was happy, but the performance was really poor.
Okay, I'm going to quickly ask you as well. Did you see the entrance of Patrick Vieira? Were you in the ground early enough to see him come out and do? Because obviously this wouldn't have been, I don't know if this would have been televised, but obviously he coming out and the fans, they did sing his name, the song, obviously, Vieira or what. I think for me it only happened once.
Yeah.
I don't know, same. I didn't hear it after that. I heard him do it once. I did it very loud for the start of the game.
I think that was about as appropriate as it should be from Arsenal fans.
Right.
Acknowledge him at the beginning. Thanks very much. And then that's it, and then it's Arsenal, and then he's Palace, and that's it. You don't need to acknowledge it anymore.
We was going to get into the 5 thing. I was looking for the ticker.
Yeah, production. We're just missing a ticker on the screen. We can get the back.
But luckily
I've got it on my phone.
But before we go into the 5 things, I think it's only right that we give a mention to the things that didn't make it to the 5 things we learned, or things that we noticed that we don't think is just necessary to speak on. We've got 5 things that we both agreed on, so I think we should talk about some things before. I'm going to start with Mike Dean. I spoke about this before we went live, and you said I already knew about Mike Dean. I didn't learn that he's a bit of a he's not a great ref when it comes to Arsenal games. He's a good ref, obviously he's made it there, but he's not for Arsenal games. He's got a history of just, I don't want to say bias, but just not making great decisions. The Saka incident. Yeah. Now I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the game because I think it happened too fast for me. I tried to look, and for me I was underneath the screen. But it was really weird. The screen timings yesterday, when I was showing the replays, were just very just. They're late, or they were in the most weirdest times.
Goal. I don't even think they showed the highlight. No, of it. It was really and
there was
really
loads of chances that they should have shown. They didn't replay it in the ground, so I actually missed it. I came back here, and I was like, there was a big uproar about the challenge. What happened? I need to see it. Was it really a red card? Oh my word! I watched it back, and how it didn't go to VAR. And it wasn't a red card is beyond me. But that's one thing I definitely learned. I know that Mike Dean likes to make games a lot about himself as a ref, and that decision there should have really been taken a little more serious because he booted Saka. It was awful. Your thoughts on it?
When we say these guys are poor refs or whatever, I mean even today on.
I'm not one to blame. Sorry to get this. I've got to get this. I'm not one to. I don't blame refs like that as well. Let me just get that in. It's not like a regular thing.
No, I know.
I'm very much like I understand refereeing a game is difficult, and you have a lot of serious decisions to make, and you're not always going to get them right. But that one, anyway. But go on.
The more I think about this, I don't know if it's incompetence or if it's arrogance. The reason I say that is, I sit here and I go, these refs are bad, these refs are terrible, these refs are this and that. If I went out, I couldn't do any better. Obviously, I'm not trained. If I went through the training, I probably couldn't do any better. There's probably a lot of us who complain about refs who wouldn't pick up on those fouls that are difficult to see, those whatever it is. You know, we always talk about offside calls, but at the same time, they always got more right than they did wrong. It's clearly a very, very difficult job. You're being hurled abuse out all day from the players, from whatever. So I don't think it's that they're bad at what they do, but there's like an underlying arrogance where it's a red card all day. Mike Dean's given a yellow for whatever reason. He didn't see it live, and that's crazy to me. But the fact that between him, the people at Stockley Park, wherever the bloody hell they are who look at VAR, the fact that no one there could come to the conclusion that a complete swipe through Saka's calf in mid-air it's high foot, it's nowhere near the ball, it's reckless, it's over excessive force, it's all the things that quantify a red card.
Cap says it was accidental. Does that give you any reason for it not to be
Let me tell you something. Most fouls are accidental. It's very rare when we're talking a physical foul like that. I mean, a pullback, yeah, okay. But most fouls are accidental. Most fouls are you go in with a bit of force, maybe, but you're not trying to hurt them. You know when they say, leave one on them?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean cause them loads of pain and break their leg. What it means is let them know you're there.
Yeah.
Let them know you're up for the fight. Be that bit stronger, because if they're stronger than you, they might come away with the ball. That's kind of what it means. So more often than not, people aren't trying to... They're not trying to foul you, they're not trying to hurt you, but they're maybe trying to leave a little bit on. And in that situation, I think MacArthur was probably thinking, this is one of those where I've got to fully commit to it, because if I get it right, it might fly top corner. If I get it wrong, we'll see, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's caught Saka badly. It's a red card, whether he meant to or not. It's simply a red card. And I cannot believe that, and that's why I use the word arrogance, I cannot believe that the referee at the game, coupled with the people at Stockley Park, couldn't come to the conclusion that ticked all the boxes for a red. I couldn't believe it, but it's not the reason we lost.
No.
It wasn't the reason we lost. It wasn't the reason we played poorly, but it's a red card every day of the week. And what I don't want is people saying it's no excuse. It's not an excuse for the performance.
That's what Gunning You Down says. It was a red, but it doesn't change our performance. Stop the excuses.
But gunning you down, with all due respect, do we all agree that Bukayo Saka is one of our best players?
Yep.
So that injured him and meant he couldn't play half the match. So you can't tell me it doesn't matter. Like, you can't tell. It's not an excuse for what for the way Arteta sets our team up, for the way Arsenal played for 2 years under Arteta. It's not an excuse for the mistakes we made in midfield. It's not an excuse for any of those things. Absolutely. But you can't tell me it doesn't matter. If the right decision is made in that situation, we're playing against 10 men, we more likely win the game. And that is frustrating. It's not as frustrating as what Arteta's been doing and what Arsenal have been doing to themselves. But of course it matters. So please don't tell. Two things can be true. Arsenal played terribly. The red card would have made a difference. Both can be true. And they are, in my opinion, anyway.
Okay, thank you for that. Che Tanya says, let's get serious now. We have been dropping points at home since last season. Zaha not there yesterday, and we barely won. We didn't win, but we obviously got a draw. Vieira out coached Arteta.
Yeah, he did.
We will get. I agree with that last statement there. We will get to that towards the end, because that is one thing we also learned, and we're going to kind of delve into that throughout this show. I'm just trying to scramble my brains as well to think, was there anything else that we didn't mention in what we learned?
You asked me a really good question, which I didn't really answer, which was there anything at the game I saw that people in the studio felt differently about?
Yep.
The one that stood out to me was actually that people don't think I'm crazy because of the goals we conceded. I thought the defence were quite good, and I know that we conceded 2 against Palace. I think Gabriel and Ben White both had individual shockers on the goals. I think they both had moments where White should have engaged and didn't. Gabriel should have not pushed Benteke so far onto his favoured foot. Those were poor moments. But in general, I really think there could have been more goals for Palace if White, Gabriel, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu and Tierney didn't, I use the word marshal, didn't manoeuvre Palace in certain ways in the first half. There were times that Palace were coming towards us, and actually we did really well just to get our positioning right, move them away from goal, stop a real counter-attack forming, because Partey was alone in midfield. Odegaard wasn't really helping him defensively, and we were being outrun a lot. Like, they were running at our back four. So what we saw for the 2 goals, I think, could have happened on several occasions in that first half, but they defended it well. And a lot of people said Tomiyasu was poor. I thought he did well. I thought he did okay. Not brilliantly, but defensively, I thought he did okay. So
I'm gonna. Yeah. I know. Yeah,
James being so deluded.
I'm gonna be honest. Because I'm gonna disagree about the defense doing well. I think I was disappointed in. You did mention, though. You did say think. I said when you heard me say when you said about Ben White not closing, pressing the ball. He backtracked so much. For many of Palace's attacks, which I fear for. I think he gets applauded for his being good with his feet, and he did many times yesterday get us out from the defence. He did do that. He is very good at putting it forward. But when it comes to defending, I actually still have question marks because he backtracks loads. And that was images of Rob Holding last season when he was backtracking loads, and that invited pressure onto defence, and we conceded a lot of goals from it. So that's one thing I do disagree with. Tomiyasu, I will agree with you. I think he gets a lot of. I think he played well yesterday.
I thought he did fine.
I think he did. And the more time where he gets exposed is when the winger's not doing their defensive duties. That's all it is. And that's understandable.
If anything, at times Pepe is doing too much as defensive duty.
And not doing enough going forward, would you say?
Being too deep is one of the things we're going to mention in our
we are going to mention that.
But I mean, I see the... Fabe says James said Arsenal will be in the top 4. I never said that.
I was going to say, did you say that? But
just making things up now. No, a lot of people are disagreeing with me. But then I'll look. Everyone's got their opinions. Let me ask this. Let me ask you this, and let me ask everyone this. I watch Tactical Insight, watch my fan cam. I said Palace were the better team and deserved to win, and we were outcoached by Vieira in terms of Arteta and everything. But let me ask you this. What other chances did Palace have, bar the 2 goals they scored?
There was one chance that I actually thought was a penalty in the ground. I don't know if you got to see it, but it's when Benteke went through both defenders. He went to them, he got sandwiched. For me, that was him getting through the defence. That was an opportunity, but then obviously it got cleared.
Sure, but he didn't get a shot away.
He didn't get a shot away.
So the defenders dealt with that. So what else have we got?
For Palace chances, no, I think a lot of it was headers. Did Aaron Ramsdale really get worked?
Were there any headers that went far wide, that went over the bar and missed by not far?
Yeah, there was definitely headers. I'm sure there was one defender.
But they weren't clear. I'm not saying there wasn't, but I'm actually genuinely just asking.
No, I know. They're not clear cut that I can remember.
So Mooney here says the save from Ramsdale, good save, but near post should be saving it. Effort from distance.
Oh, this one, he came, come to him, and he opened up, smacked him in the chest.
He was offside, so that doesn't count.
That's
so
true.
What else we got?
Apart from that, that was the one thing. That was the one key chance.
So the defence held their line well. So
yeah.
So what I'm saying is, break it down, guys. Palace were the better team. Palace were the much better team on the ball and dominated in midfield. And at times, they played through our midfield so easily and drove through our midfield so easily that they were running out our back four.
A lot.
So the reason I'm giving credit to the back four is because for the amount of times that Palace dominated the ball and were running at us, we actually did well to limit them chances from those positions. And I actually thought in the first half, the back four and Ramsdale did well. I think they did well to keep us at 1-0 in that game. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they were brilliant. I'm not saying they were great. I'm not saying we should be sitting here just talking about a great defensive performance. We absolutely had loads of problems, and defensively was one of them. But I felt for the back four because I think they were exposed by what was in front of them. I think the midfield was far too lightweight and weak. And we were outrun by Palace. And for the problems that Palace caused us in midfield, the defence generally dealt with it pretty well. The problem is that no one judges 90 minutes of football for 90 minutes. They judge it by the big moments. And in 2 really big moments, Gabriel and White both individually let us down. So it doesn't really matter that for the other 89 minutes of the game, they were actually fairly solid and did their jobs. In those key moments, they cost us.
They did, and it'll be interesting. I'm sure that I'm trying to wrap my brains. You can see me there thinking and pondering on what the chances were, because I know a lot of people did say yesterday when I was speaking to them, Ramsdale was the man of the match, and that's down to what he did within the game. I'm just trying to think of many key saves. There was that one we just spoke about, the near post, where he had that was a key moment. He made himself big and it hit him clean in the chest. And he had the 2 goals, I suppose. But that is what you kind of mentioned. It was offside for that one that came.
I think someone makes a good point here. Marcus, who's actually being respectful, says good points. They didn't have any clear.
Marcus Comfort.
They didn't have many clear-cut chances, but they did hit the bar. And then obviously we hit the bar. Very, very true. But you know, I remember they hit the bar. I can't remember how they hit the bar. But yeah, I do remember. I think I remember that happening. Eric says, James, it's Crystal Palace without Zaha, man. That's fine. It doesn't make a difference. Like that doesn't matter. I you know, of course they would have been better with him.
Quickly, Nairo says with Super Chat, Arteta winning the FA Cup is the worst moment in our history. It's only reason he's still here. He has completed the process of making us a top half side. Say that one more time, sorry. Arteta winning the FA Cup is the worst moment in our history. It's the only reason he's still here. He has completed the process of making us a top half side.
That's at most what we are right now. Yeah. So
Right.
anyway, I thought that was just the one thing that struck me when speaking to everyone. It's just so easy to come out of a football match, we concede 2 goals and go, the defence was awful. It's like that. I felt that they were put under unnecessary pressure throughout the whole game because the midfield didn't do its job and Arteta as a coach didn't do his job. So we can look at them all we want. Listen, I think Ramsdale's partially at fault for the Edouard goal. And then White and Gabriel are definitely at fault. Obviously, Lokonga and Partey for losing the ball. Everyone can take blame here. But I've got much, much, much bigger issues what we did going forward in attack.
Do you think do you think Ramsdale could have done more with Edouard's goal?
With Ramsdale starting, I feel for him. Actually, let me criticise and then I'll do the other side.
Interesting.
When I looked at him, his starting position looked very low. Like it looked like he was really like crouched knees, waiting to go bottom left or bottom right. And actually, obviously, when he hits it, he's got to lift himself up and then stretch his arm. And it just looked to me like he left himself too much to do in too short a time. Having said that, and obviously I'm not a goalkeeping coach, so what do I know? But it just looked that way to me. But then having said that, I think White might have been obscuring his vision. So I don't think he maybe had a clear sight at it, and he hit it well, Edouard, to be fair.
Yeah, he did. He does a good strike.
I think he just could have. I think maybe he could have, but I thought Ramsdale was very good, and behind Lacazette, our man of the match.
I think he gave some good points there about the defence. I don't know if anyone is. I don't know if you heard anyone obviously saying defence were poor. If you did, then that all these points are justified. The only thing I question definitely is the backtracking of a defender. And not closing the ball down. I want my defenders to trust in themselves, believe in themselves that they can make the tackle and not hold them up till they get to the box, creating more pressure for the defence. I understand if there's an overlapping run, but there wasn't that yesterday.
It was really poor.
It was shoddy. And in those 2 moments, but as a whole in 90 minutes, I think you made your good points there. I can't recall any major difficulties that Ramsdale had apart from the 2 goals. So fair point. Any last little thing before we get into...
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. When we're saying a defence is awful, what you should be talking about is getting absolutely, just like you're getting battered for 90 minutes, or at least in spells you're conceding chance of chance, and we didn't really. They're a really big team, Palace. But were they a threat from set pieces? I don't think so. I thought we dealt with everything.
It's interesting because Brighton. I can reel off more chances that they had, and
exactly.
And I didn't really say the defence were poor, but they were under pressure throughout the whole game.
But isn't that so funny, right? Because Brighton had way more clear-cut chances against us than Palace did, and we're sitting there going, what a great defensive performance it was at Brighton.
Yeah.
In terms of the back four and Ramsdale, but we're not saying it in this one because we conceded 2 goals. But we both agree that Palace caused us Brighton caused us way more problems than Palace in terms of
0-0.
Those actually you should have scored chances. You know what I mean?
Brighton should have scored in many chances, but they didn't. They just weren't clinical enough.
And away from the 2 that Palace scored, I can't think of any they really should have scored.
I think that's answered it for us there.
Listen, it's up for anyone.
It's up for debate as well.
I really don't have the time and energy to be arguing with someone after a 2-2 draw about whether our defence was good. I just thought it was a particularly interesting take from what I saw here that people saw differently, in the studio. But that's it. Okay. That's what we're here to do.
And we completely did a show about 5 things we learned. We haven't actually touched on any of them yet. We're 20 minutes in, but this is a topic of conversation we kind of need to have, and it has kind of given me more clarity. I'm trying to think. I think that is all from things that we haven't included in the list that we're going to go through.
I love this comment from Iniola. Says the defence wasn't awful, but I feel both centre backs could have done better with the 1v1 defending against both Benteke's and Edouard's goals. They kept backing off against unskilled strikers, and that last line is spot on. They're not the most technically gifted, but they're not the most. They're not going to drop a shoulder, a couple. What are they called? Step overs.
Yeah.
Just, they're not going to do that, and they're meant to be fast defenders who couldn't deal with it.
But we did make their attack look very threatening at times, in the sense of, like I said it in Troops' fan cam, I said I've never seen Benteke have fast feet, but in that moment when I said I thought it was a penalty, very fast feet was shown, and I was like, what the hell? Where does that come from against Arsenal every time? He only seems to score against us as well. But let's move into the 5 things we learned, James. I'm going to let you start with the one that... Actually, before we start, guys, I have to make this... I was going to do it towards the end of the show, but I'm going to mention... You probably can see on my jumper here... I'm just going to move out of the way of the lens. I'm wearing a prostate cancer badge, and there should be a link in the description. Please go check it out. It's something serious. If you detect it early, you can save your own life, and it's something you should be very aware of. And if you can donate as well to the charity, that anything small, medium or large is always helpful. It's something that we need to take serious. So
every little helps, literally.
100%. So please check that out. The link will be in the description to this video. And now let's get into the 5 things we learned, James. So I'll let you start. You choose with the first one. I mean, this is...
I'm going to go with this one first because I think Graham and I broke it down in Tactical Insight. So if you want to kind of hear more on it, that's the place to go. That's the plug there. But I felt our front 3 were way too deep. And what I learnt really yesterday, kind of more than in any other game, I think I made excuses in past games because we've not been in a great place. We've had injuries. We've played tough teams, whatever it might be. I've kind of made excuses for being very pragmatic and very defensive. But in this game, it really struck me how deep Saka and Pepe were trying to protect our fullbacks. The modern games move towards wingers moving centrally and fullbacks bombing on. I don't know a team in the country that doesn't do it. And if they don't do it, they do their own iteration of it. Like City and Liverpool have their right backs like Trent and Kyle Walker come inside. They're playmakers. But it's all about fullbacks contributing from deep going forward now. I think we might be the only team in the country, bar maybe Burnley, whose fullbacks are told, no, stay in your defence, and wingers get back to help. And I couldn't believe at 1-0 up against a Palace side that are more expansive, that we got the opportunity to expose, having gone 1-0 up. I couldn't believe how unbelievably defensive we were.
So on that right there, why I cut you, we went 1-0 up. If you guys, I'm sure you guys watched the game. If you heard Arteta's straight away his post-match press conference after said, he goes, we went 1-0 up and then we seemed like we were trying to defend something. I didn't know what he makes that decision. I know the player. You can say the whole team does not make the decision that we go 1-0 up and we sit back. As you said earlier, before when it was off cam, as an attacking player, we've just scored. My first thought is, let's go get more goals. Run with the momentum.
Excited. Yeah, we're winning.
Let's go with the momentum. Let's keep going. Let's get them under pressure. Let's kill this game off. That's in my mind. So for Arteta to say, we went 1-0 up, and then he said the players felt like they had to defend something, and that's something we need to work on. It's like, bro, you must have given that. It's you giving the orders. And most of the time in the second half as well, when it was second half, you sat down throughout the whole of the second half. You came up in the last, I think, 10 minutes to start gesturing what you're gesturing. I find that very, I'm sorry, I can't get my words out right now. Yeah, him saying that we're trying to defend something after going 1-0 up, I found that outrageous, him saying that, when it's down to him to direct the team. And as a player, I'm sure they're going to want to attack instead of sit back. You're right when you said the fullbacks seem to sit back. Tomiyasu, I love him as a defender. I think he's great. I haven't seen him go forward because I'm assuming that's what Arteta wants him to stay in his position, do your jobs. Kieran Tierney yesterday didn't really get forward. Nope. I think there was a couple of moments, obviously, when he hit the crossbar, but it was very rare to see him do that overlapping run. He kept turning back and passing it back and going sideways. It was very confusing.
Got a nice comment here from Peter. Says, we weren't defensive, we just didn't keep the ball. I agree, we didn't keep the ball, and we were struggling to kind of impose ourselves in midfield again. But if you look at Saka and Pepe's positioning, that for me is the key. That's the bit that tells you that we were defensive and we were very regressive and we were just trying to protect what we have. And that does come from Arteta, because Arteta can easily tell Pepe, Aubameyang and Saka go 5-10 yards forward and just be in and around their defenders. You can still block space, you can still be helping midfield, you can still track back when the ball's on your side, but almost like when Saka's tracking back, that's even more license for Pepe and Aubameyang to just get a little bit further forward. Almost, it kind of moves around, doesn't it? Saka comes around, Aubameyang and Pepe move forward, because we always need that counter-attacking option. We always need the other gear we can go into where we do win the ball and we can break. I'm not going to say too much more on it because we did really break it down on Tactical Insight.
Did you show the average positions on Tactical Insight as well?
We did, yeah.
Interesting.
Flat line. Go have a little look at all that.
Look at that.
But again, what struck me, Arteta, and I'm with you, when I hear him saying, almost like he's surprised, suddenly we couldn't impose ourselves on the game. We couldn't play. It's like, but you know what? If Vieira is a world-class coach and Palace suddenly become a great team and they start just knocking it about like prime Barcelona, you can still have the players in positions to be a threat. So you can't keep telling me it's always about what the opposition did and almost this victim mentality of we just couldn't deal with it. Like we had to respond and we couldn't. It's like, but you could do other things to at least keep us looking a threat.
Right.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
And that was really disappointing. And I think the position of the front three told me that more than ever. There was one moment where Palace won a throw in. I don't know if you noticed this. I think it was so staggering to people in the crowd. Everyone was kind of the length away from our goal of the penalty area.
Okay,
I think, basically, it's 18 yards penalty area, right?
Yeah.
So from the goal line to 18 yards out, everyone was in that block/third of the pitch.
Yeah.
Maybe a quarter, however long a pitch is. And that was unbelievable because I was thinking, we're just inviting them on. They're going to take a few yards forward, another few yards forward. They're going to pin us in. And that was staggering. So yeah, that's on the manager.
It is. Nairo is back with a super chat. Thank you, Nairo. He says, I think Pepe might be our signing of all time. 72 million. Partey as well, man. He is really world class. I don't know if there's sarcasm involved in that. I feel like there likely will be. Yeah, I'm gonna. Okay, this is Naira. I'm just gonna leave. You put worst. I think Pepe might be our worst signing of all time. Partey as well.
Is he really world class? Partey, I think, definitely can be. We can't just. He's had injuries. He was absolutely destroying it up in Madrid with Atletico Madrid and Simeone. World class, maybe a stretch, but he's a great player, and I do think on his day he can be a world class midfielder.
You put him in a top 4 side. Is he world class? Because I think he is. I think he thrives with. I think he struggles right now due to the. It's going to sound harsh. The players around him potentially. Yes.
I said a while ago that Partey for me could play for any side in the league. Dare I say, in the world, and I don't think he.
It doesn't look out of place.
I don't think he looks out of place at all.
Agree.
I don't think he makes them worse. That doesn't mean I think he's as good as Fabinho or as good as Rodri or whatever. But I don't think they're any worse for having him in the team. I really believe that. I think he's got that quality. But I think these systems are exposing him. So yeah.
Okay. Do you want to read that super chat just right in front of you there?
Yeah, from Nailish says, infinitely better with 5 at the back, can pass out from the back better, use fullbacks more, keep attackers up the field, more composure on the ball. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I feel like I'm flip-flopping between formations every week.
That's what Arteta does.
Yeah. But no, maybe 5 at the back is.
Can I ask you? I know we're going to move on to this number 2, second thing we learned, but you did say that the front 3 were too deep. Is that? Do you heavily strong on that, including Aubameyang? Because for me, he was the only one pressing, and he was pressing the defenders, the fullbacks as well. But he was doing it individually. I think that's one mistake Arteta needs to correct. Is they need to press as a team. I don't know why that's not been sorted. It hasn't been sorted for a while. I don't think I've even mentioned it before, but it's something I'd expect from a professional side. I mean, I learned it in Sunday League football. We know how to press as a team. So I don't know why that's not so arranged. But you still think that even Aubameyang as well was too deep.
I loved Aubameyang's work rate so much, but yeah, he was far too deep. But again, I think that was instruction. I think that was him trying to prove he can be the complete striker. He obviously got his goal. I think there's a lot of things to like about that Aubameyang performance.
Yep.
But, as we're going to touch on later, there are more concerns than there are
positives.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 2. You can let us know who was the second thing we learned, James, from yesterday's performance.
That our home form is a real worry.
Right. I'm gonna quickly step in on this because I asked Turkish. I believe in the warm up I said, "Is there any?" I would like to see the Emirates be a fortress one day.
Yeah.
And when I mean one day, I mean hopefully one day this season. Turkish completely shut that down straight away. He said that is not going to happen. Probably you're going to have to give it at least 3 years. And I said, okay, at least a stadium or a home ground that other teams fear. He said the same thing, 2 to 3 seasons. I then asked Dan Potts in a fan cam, when I did fan cams yesterday, I said, any chance of teams wanting to come here and be fearful, not wanting to come here, sorry, and be fearful of Arsenal coming to home? He also again said, we are so far off that. That worries me. It actually upsets me as well because the Arsenal of old, I've been speaking with, obviously I was in the age of watching the Invincibles, but I was speaking to Robbie and him talking about going to Highbury and knowing they're going to win. Yeah. Just before the game started, just the way they walk out of the tunnel. I think they spoke about the 89 as well, the 1989 documentary as well. They looked at the players in their eyes and they could tell they are going to win this game. That was a similar theme throughout the Invincible season as well. You just know, and people were scared to come to Highbury because they knew they were going to get a tough game. We're unbeaten there, so I want those days back. I can't obviously click my fingers and have it and that happen, but it'll be nice to go to a home game and think, do you know what? I can bring my family maybe or friends and know you're going to come and see a good game. I can't do that. I I don't go into any game confident in the moment. And the home form from last season as well, because this was our away form was better than our home form last season. That is a big worry, and I just thought I had to speak about that because it frustrates me that our home ground isn't somewhere where other teams fear. If anything, I think they feel like it's a day out the other team and feel like, do you know what, we can get points here. Palace came there yesterday and had more. For me, I haven't checked the official stats. We probably had more possession because we went sideways mode.
First half, they had a lot more than us.
Perfect. So I'm going to say Palace had a lot more killer possession than we did. They used their possession a lot better than us. So, yeah, man.
The Emirates isn't a force. I kind of want to look past, things like the football behind closed doors last year. Home wasn't the same for anyone. But this year, what home games we had? Chelsea at home, we didn't show up. All right, players missing, but we didn't show up. We then had Norwich at home. We were okay, not great. Like one goal, a very lucky goal, gives us the win. We've then got Spurs at home. We're excellent for 45 minutes. We let Spurs have the ball for the next 45. And then in this game, Palace had a lot of spells where they were running at our back four. They had more of the ball. Teams are coming and enjoying their football way too much at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the exact fact. It's something like 8 wins in 20 plus league games at home for Arteta. That's really, really worrying. That is so bad. And I know a lot of that was played, as I said, without fans. But there should be, it still shouldn't be that bad.
No.
And it's something he's got to seriously address. I know no one really wants to hear this. I do think not losing the game last night, I do think that is significantly better than if we had. I know a lot of people are like, well, it's just a point, we may as well have lost it. I don't look at it that way. I don't think it's a case of, well, a point is barely better than a defeat. Like it is a lot better to draw the game than lose it. But it's still so far off what we should be doing, which is dominating, making Palace suffer when they come, getting the 3 points and walking away with a couple goals. We're still so far away from that.
Yeah,
home form's a worry.
Home form is a worry, and again, we spoke about on the build-up, we want Arteta to go on a run. Technically, as poor as the performance was yesterday, we are still unbeaten in the last 5. So I mentioned that a lot in the fan cams yesterday, but
we'll always say it. If you go beat Villa, then you beat Leicester, then you beat Watford.
Right.
Games, can Arsenal win those games? Yes, they can win those games. Suddenly, we're sat here going, wow, 6 wins in 8, 2 draws in there. Things are looking good.
Right. Right.
Like, there's always that what if. It's why I always refrain myself from really going mad about it, because I could look an idiot in a couple of weeks if we do go and win our 3 games. But I'm not seeing enough signs that with Villa at home and Watford at home that we should even be putting the words at home after it. It doesn't matter. Home or away, I don't even know if it's going to make a massive difference for Arsenal. Maybe we suit going to Burnley and trying to grind games out like that. Maybe that's what this team is best for. I don't know. But yeah, home form, real worry.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through some comments before we go into the third thing we learn. Rocco says, Palace took risks we never. That is very true. They seem very confident on the ball, and they did. Will Dobson says, why are they wearing hats inside? Is it cold or is there no roof? Let me assure you, there is a roof.
We're depressed.
It's not cold.
I'm joking. No,
yeah.
I put my hat on when you've been up till late, and just the morning after thinking, I don't need to make myself look good. The hat's going on, the hoodie's coming on, and I'm just going to go to work and talk about that performance.
So that was the exact reason why my hat and hoodie's on. I put my hat on, I put my hood on, I travel in, and yeah, especially when you've been up into the early hours of the morning. So that's the reason for that. And then let me just read some of these. I think there's some long comments here. As unbeaten run, Rocco says, now there's an unbeaten run to hide behind with 2 draws against Brighton and Palace. I hear what you're saying. Listen, I'm still. I don't think Arteta is the man. I have been like that for a while. The performances say enough to me that I will not be happy right now. But we have to, like James said, I'm refraining from just wiling out, because again, if we win our next couple of games, we start building points, start going up the table. We can't. Not that we can't be too angry. You can still have your own opinions on the manager, but it's not as bad as, we're fighting a relegation battle. So we've got to be.
We're used to a video game culture of, like, you play, you lose on a level of some video game, and you go do it again and you make it better. Or hell, I know what it's like when I'm playing Football Manager, and we have a poor result. I'm playing the next one immediately. You can get that instant kind of. You order something on Amazon, it's coming tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, we're used to that kind of instant response. Football doesn't give you that. We're going to have to wait it out till Friday. We're going to have to sit on this. And then Friday comes, and if we win, we're going to enjoy that till the week after. That's just football.
That's just how it is.
So I understand why people are wound up, but it is important to remember context, I suppose. But listen, people who've seen my fan cams and anything that I've said on these shows after this game, I'm not happy. So please, I see some people saying you're being too kind. Why do you keep saying what if this and all that? Listen, I'm just trying to look at the bigger picture.
I'm just going to read through some of these comments as well. I'm going to go into the fourth. I think it's third actually. UK Rap Blog says it's all them Arsenal training videos trying to look good for the cam, but can't implement it into matches. # home form is a worry. Andreas says we've got inexperienced players coached by an inexperienced manager with more inexperienced people upstairs. We won't ever find consistency this way. Marcus Comfort says, he just retracted that comment. Okay. Marcus Comfort says, it was a great character to get the point like we did, but still a bad performance and result. Arteta has to go now. We have no pattern and a final third. We are hopeless. And then lastly, I'm just going to read the super chat that came in before we move on. Fuad says, Arteta needs to press higher and maintain the press for 90 in order to dominate smaller teams.
I absolutely agree with that. Fuad is absolutely spot on. We do not sustain attacks. I'll ask you a question. By the way, I don't know the answer to this. If Arsenal have a big chance in minute 63, for example, what minute do you think our next big chance is coming?
A big chance in minute 63.
This is really just a complete hypothetical.
Okay, no,
any answer's right. I'm just saying, if we have a big chance, how many minutes and how long till the next big chance is coming?
I'm going to be honest. It's very. We've got to give more context, and in the sense of that, like, if we're losing, it changes the dynamic of the game. So when we went 2-1 down, and the last 10 minutes of the game, it felt like. Everyone was. It felt like Arsenal was pinning back Palace. They were trying to create chances. We was at them.
But even then, how many did we create?
We was in the half for a while. We almost got countered. I think it was the last 5 minutes. I'm being 10 was generous. It's the last 5 minutes. Let me just be real here. 3 chances, I'm going to say, and there was probably about 3 clear-cut chances. Obviously, Tini hit the bar, I think, around that time. We had 2 corners in the last 5 minutes. So yeah, that's
reckon-
only if we're losing. If we're winning, or if we're only if we're winning, or if it's a draw. I think we're quite comfortable to not have another clear-cut chance after one big one in 65 minutes.
I asked the question. If we have a chance in the 65th minute, when's our next big chance? And gunning you down, put it in the next game. That kills me. That's brilliant. The point I'm trying to make here is we don't sustain attacks. We have a chance, and then guess what happens? They have the ball, they knock it around, we've got to wait to get it. When we get it, we've then got to build up, we've got to make our way forward, then we might manoeuvre ourselves into an area. It is really awful to watch. I would say it's the worst football I've ever seen at the Emirates.
Now watch this. How do you beat a low block?
I think you suffocate them. That's what you do.
Okay, so you say you think you suffocate them. I'd love to know what people think. Now I'm not no coach. I've done some badges. I'm not a manager. My way of beating a low block is you have to attack the team before they get into a low block. Arsenal never do that.
Yeah.
So you have to counter quickly or build up play quickly. We keep complaining. We keep getting scrutinised for saying Arsenal can't seem to beat a low block, but we let players get into position before we try and score. So we let them get into a low block, which is just. The logic behind it is so backwards. It's so backwards. The only way to beat a low block is attack a team before they get set. We don't seem to do that. We like to pass the ball, go backwards, go sideways, bring it around the midfield, let them get in, and then maybe try and break it down, which never works. So
I think you make a really good point. You got to hit them before they got the chance
to set.
Yeah. Watch Tactical Insight, guys. We've talked about this, Graham and I. It's little tweaks. And we honestly think we could look so much more dangerous. Look, it's just opinion of ours, but hey ho.
Anyway, right. We keep going into big conversations. Apologies.
41 minutes in and we've done 2 points.
All right, let's just rattle through the last couple.
At least we're having a bit of a laugh.
Yeah,
now.
I'm enjoying this. This is therapy.
Pepe form. It's worrying now.
Ooh.
I'm not going to talk about it too much.
No, but don't do that.
So
you've got to do it.
Nah, some of you Pepe fans, man.
It's crazy, isn't it?
This is how you know there's an insecure,
is it
fan base of people sometimes. I tweeted at half-time yesterday.
Can I read his comment?
Go on.
AH says, "You're right, Cecil. I don't like you, but you're right." Thanks, AH.
Do you know what? Take that.
I'll take it.
So what I was going to say was, this is how you know that there's people who are really, they are ride or die with Pepe. They've been like, he's a great player, he's going to prove you all wrong, blah, blah. And so when I tweeted at half-time yesterday, this is all I said, gave a couple of thoughts, and I said, I'd bring on Lokonga, I'd go 4-2-3-1, and I'd bring Pepe off. And everyone jumped on me. Your agenda against Pepe, you hate Pepe, what's Pepe done wrong? He's been one of our best players at half. I didn't think Pepe played bad. I never said he played badly. I thought he was one of our better players in the first half. I completely agree with that. I thought he worked really, really hard. I just think Saka's a better right winger than Pepe, and I think we need a stability in midfield. Hey, that kind of proved wrong, because Lokonga came on and obviously made an error. So did Partey. We ended up conceding 2 goals. So you could say that was wrong. But Pepe did not build on the first half. If anything got tougher, he got worse. But then guess what he does? He puts in a really great a really great cross. I've been summing my words all day. He puts in a really great cross that Gabriel wins the header for, and we end up scoring from.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether I'm coming or go with Pepe, because this guy, who I think is ultra talented, delivers 2 of the defining moments in that game yesterday that allow us to score 2 goals and draw. But at the same time, it really didn't come off for him for most of the game. So I don't know where I am with him.
Now, this is the perfect example of this. In the comments here we have, Gunning You Down says, Pepe lost the ball 22 times, crying face. Marcus Comfort then says, but how many times was Pepe given a poor ball to control or run after? He also had 2 assists. So it's very conflicting. I've had my thoughts on Pepe from very early on. I have a lot of discussions with people here at the office, had a lot of debate. I'm not sold, I'm going to be honest, on Pepe, and I don't want to keep banging the drum on it, because I don't like to talk negatively or down on players that just doesn't offer me enough for what I expected of him, and especially when I wanted Zaha before, and I was expecting him to come in and be an improvement, or at least at the level of Zaha. I haven't seen that yet, and he's just very frustrating. I know he has talent. I'm very aware he has talent. He's a technical player, but I can't keep making excuses for him. I think a lot of people do, and yeah, for me, it's just I don't want to talk too much on it. But that is me and Pepe. I kind of made up my mind.
Hugh says, we aren't playing around Pepe well, but Pepe is at fault for his poor performances. I do think, while he's at fault for some of the decisions he makes on the ball and some poor touches and over dribbling or whatever, there's moments. But I do still think I'd like to see him under a really good manager. I'd love to see what a Graham Potter or Brendan Rodgers would do with Pepe. I feel like they would get more out of him. And I think I've seen enough quality to suggest to me that he can be a match winner and he can be a massive threat for teams. So I'm weirdly in this kind of like, I'm worried, but I'm not done with Pepe by any stretch of the imagination. I still think there's quality there, and I think he'll probably outlast the manager, if I'm honest. I think we will see Pepe under a different manager at Arsenal.
I doubt
that's when we'll learn even
I don't
more.
think he can be done with Pepe, because I don't think the manager is. I think he still tries to make it work. I think he finds him frustrating, Arteta. I really do. I think he's been trying to get him to work in a system that may not even benefit the way Pepe wants to play. But Arteta is trying to integrate him. That's why he started yesterday. However, that's what I think. You can be persistent with him because the manager is trying to make it work. But I think you're right there. He probably will outlast Arteta as well. Yeah. Ole says, big up James and Cecil. When are we going to stop making excuses for Arteta? I've tried to back him, but now I've had enough. We need a new direction. Now, as me as a fan, I don't really make excuses for Arteta. I just give both sides. I think that's what I kind of have to do here. I have made my own decision. I'm past it. I don't think Arteta is the man. But there's nothing I can really do to get him out of a job. So that's the truth. And
which is also like sad. Like it's not. We just want the best for Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Club. We don't want to be talking about people losing their jobs. And,
of course.
Like that's someone's income and their life, and Arteta will be desperate to make this work. Like he won't be feeling good about it. Like don't get me wrong. I don't. For a long time, I haven't believed in it, even though I've seen signs of improvement. And I tried to point those out, but I've not believed in it for a long time. But we'll see, Arteta does have this weird way of, I wouldn't say putting a run together, but like I just wouldn't even be surprised if we played quite well against Villa on Friday. I wouldn't really be that surprised. So yeah, we'll see. I got another interesting super chat from Amit. It says,
you answer it as well.
I like it.
For you.
He said, guys, put Pepe on the right wing for Liverpool. Does he play better? You got the underlap from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Henderson would be covering him. Firmino's creating space, etc. That's called a fluid, well-structured team. And Pepe's got the work rate and would probably press quite well and actually be a threat on the counter. Pepe could never do on the right what Mo Salah does. He's not as good in any department as Mo Salah.
Someone compared Pepe to Mo Salah last night in the fan roundup in one of the videos I did, in the sense that he's got good feet, he's quick, he's tricky, he can shoot. But I said, whoa.
I think for me personally, I think it's a little. I'm not saying this is what was said, but I think it's a little lazy to go left-footed right winger. They must be quite similar. Yeah, they've got trickery, but most wingers do have a degree of trickery.
Yeah.
But I guess what I would say, though, is I think Pepe wants to be getting in the positions that Salah gets into. Very narrow, almost like a third, almost like a wide striker. We've got Big Tony says, Pepe is just Jovino 2.0. Not reading the rest. You can read it.
No, I'm not going to read it.
But I think he wants to get in those positions Salah gets into, but the system to help, which is why I want to kind of see him under another manager. See, just give it one last go, but we'll see if we get that.
Right, next thing we learn, or was there something?
Yeah. No, fourth thing, which is basically the Lacazette Aubameyang situation.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. We've only got 10 minutes left of the show. This could take 10 minutes.
Oh, blimey. Right.
I'm just going to kind of say it very bluntly. Arsenal are a better team with Lacazette up front. That doesn't mean Lacazette's a better player than Aubameyang. That doesn't mean It doesn't mean what a lot of people would take from that. I'm just saying the way Arteta keeps asking us to play, the patterns he keeps asking us to try and make work, they only really work when Lacazette's in the team. I think people forget that there was a really lovely, almost within a minute or two of coming on, there's a lovely little combination with Aubameyang, and suddenly he's in and we're forcing Gaeta to make a good save. He started to combine down the left a bit more. He gets the ball on the right and he kind of feints and cuts inside, feints again and gets a shot off with his left foot. Lacazette looked very, very bright in 25 minutes of football. And he fundamentally suits Smith Rowe and Odegaard better. He suits Saka and Pepe. I want to see Pepe on the left to Lacazette. It's worked before. Some of our best performances last season, we won 3-1 at Southampton. Lacazette was up front. We won 3-1 at Leicester. Lacazette was up front. We won 1-0 at Old Trafford. Lacazette was up front. We won 3-1 at home to Chelsea. Lacazette was up front. He was our top scorer last season. I know he's got 1 year left, and I understand, or less than a year, and I understand all this, reluctance to play him. But he is the best striker at Arsenal for Arsenal right now, and he should be playing. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. So the fifth thing we learned, I'm not going to comment on this right now, but thank you for what you said there. You broke it down very well.
If Arteta built a team that was about getting players in pockets, Aubameyang running beyond, always being on the shoulder, stretching the defence, then fine. Then we know Aubameyang, I think, is a more instinctive goal scorer. Yeah. But that's it. Cody, he's got to come with a super chat. Laka has to start Friday. It's as simple as that. I think so. Shreth with a super chat says, Pepe is a waste of space. I think that's harsh. He says we will never be good enough. He will never be good enough for the Premier League. We need to trust Martinelli. He deserves a shot to the squad. Laka suits the bench. I do agree that Martinelli needs to be playing more.
Okay.
Why are you so reluctant to?
No, I'm just.
Oh, football frame.
No, it's not that. It's definitely not that. It's Laka and Aubameyang. The thing is, we all want to see them both in the side. And if I'm honest, when he came on in the last, the last 25 minutes, when they were both together, I could see Aubameyang pick up his game. When Laka came on and cheered up the crowd, you saw him come straight over to the fans, say, "Come on, get up for it! Come on, make some noise and all that, and get more into it." And he was leading the press as well with Aubameyang. So, my dream is to see them in the same side, but it's just unfortunate that every time they're in the same side together starting, it never works. And I don't know what that's down to, and it's starting to frustrate me. It's not even starting; it's always frustrated me. I think Emery tried it; it worked for a period of time, but didn't work well enough. And then Arteta's tried it a few times, and it really hasn't worked. So. It's just annoying. I've spoke about Aubameyang and the credit running thin with him. The credit is running out, unfortunately.
But he scored.
He did score
3 home games in a row.
Yep.
He worked really, really hard. He played a lovely ball out to Pepe, which I think we should have done more with. He was trying to link up, and he was at times. This is not about me trying to get on Aubameyang's back. It's really not. I love the guy. I just think Lacazette is better. For what we're trying to do.
There you go. The way you first announced how you were going to talk about Aubameyang and Lacazette, you said, for the way that Arteta needs to play, Lacazette fits the style of play better than Aubameyang. Right now, from what I see, that is true. There is a sort of counter argument that Lacazette last season did play as a striker, dropped very deep.
Yeah.
You spoke about at the beginning there that our front line was too deep, but he'd done that a lot and that killed his game. However, I think that recent, Lacazette's found a new form of energy and form to be more of a striker and get involved. So right now, what you said there, for the style of play that Arteta wants, I think Lacazette suits it better. However, I'm not going to just completely disregard Aubameyang because he's pulled us out of so many moments, so many times. Even his goal, he's taken so well yesterday. And it was instinctive. It was an Aubameyang goal I haven't actually seen for quite a while. It wasn't an original of he cuts in and wraps it in the bottom corner. It was a bit more just instinctive, like I said there, and it was a difficult angle for him to score. So I'm not going to say throw Aubameyang away just now because obviously he might be finding back his form that we've seen in the past seasons. Don't want to speak too soon. But that's
all right,
that.
Fair enough. Final, should we go into the super chat from Shreth? He's not happy.
He's not. I don't blame him. We got a draw, but it felt like a loss. Last one, because we are coming towards the end of the show.
Well, I just wrote, whatever the process is, it's taking too long.
The reason for, and we're going to talk about, quickly to rattle it off, obviously Patrick Vieira has been at Palace for 8 games, 7 games, say. they seemed to know a game plan. Even when they went 1-0 down, right, they didn't seem out of ideas. They were like, they seemed composed. Even Patrick Vieira seemed composed. There was no him flaring his arms. He literally stood, man mountain, by the way, massive guy, hands in his pocket, stood there just talking to his players. Didn't seem phased. They got back into the game. They started to dominate. If you go watch the Pride of South London TV, or Ali, the guy's name is, box to box, he said, since Vieira's come in, and James did break this down on the build-up as well, they've had more possession, Crystal Palace, more than under Roy Hodgson. They seem to dominate games even away. Yesterday, Palace were in control. I haven't seen that from an Arteta side. He's been there 2 years.
Yeah.
And an 11, I don't see a consistent 11 with Arteta. It's also another problem. We can't seem to get a run of wins under our belt through Arteta. And if I'm honest, a lot of Palace's games where they draw, they've been unlucky. Majority of their games that they draw, they've been very unlucky. So yeah, that's that on that.
That's it. Vieira is the inspiration for this fifth talking point. You see what he's done in 8 games, and you see what we've done in nearly 2 years, a year and 10 months, and there's a staggering difference. Palace looked more like the side Arsenal should be right by now.
Yeah.
And that's why I say whatever this process is, whatever it is Arteta's saying that one day is going to go bang, this point we can put in the calendar and go, that was the day it went bang. We were hoping it would be Tottenham. We look so far from it, and it's just taking far too long. It's taking far too long, and I'm all for long-term projects. I'm all for planning for the future. I'm all for building foundations. I'm not saying that. I really am all for that. I think that is really important. I think a team like Arsenal need to find that balance between spending money to improve the squad, spending big money and competing, but also to a degree self-sustainment, the way Dortmund do. Dortmund always, despite everything having their best players approach, they always find a way to be in the conversation. So I think Arsenal should be approaching that kind of model. But you've got to see something starting to change.
Yep.
And it's unacceptable for Arsenal to finish 8th. It's really bad to finish 8th 2 years in a row. We look like another team that right now will finish 8th. That's how we look. We look another 8th place team.
It's a sad truth.
So when is enough enough? When do you go, this process, mate, is taking far too long? By the end of this season, Arteta will have been in the job 2.5 years.
Yep.
If we finish 8th after 2.5 years of Arteta in the job and over £200 million spent, that is really, really concerning. But look, that's all hypothetical. It could, as I said, it could turn around.
It could.
We could beat Villa. We could get something at
It's
Leicester.
the hope
we
that
could beat Watford.
it's the hope that
Suddenly
kills you.
things look a lot better.
But you are right.
But it's got to start showing something quickly. And it's not about going 5 games unbeaten. It's about how we played in those 5 games. How many minutes of those 5 games, which is, what's 90 times 5? 450 minutes, is it?
Yeah.
Right. So in 450 minutes of football, plus that extra added time and all those, how many minutes of those did we play well in?
The first, I was going to say
I think we played well in 45 of them. At a push, 60, 65.
No, 45, I think it's fair. I was going to say...
actually well.
Yeah.
Actually we played well.
I mean, yesterday was the first 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah.
So in a 10th of those 5 games, in that unbeaten run, in a 10th of it, have we looked a good side? So this is what I mean. It's got to start happening a lot more quickly for us.
I agree with that. And I just want to quickly mention that Zaha and Eze both went in the side yesterday, and they still dominated and controlled possession and caused us many problems. For me, that's a worry. We're going to finish off with just reading these super chats. Threefold passes. Lacazette is in a contract year. I mean, I think it means his in his last year of contract. So he will be given everything to get a big final contract somewhere. We should take advantage of that.
Yeah, agreed.
Would you give him a 1-year extension?
No, I wouldn't go that far, I'll be honest. But I would be looking at him to be leading the line for a lot of this season.
A body says, Jesus, Cecil, you want Alba to fail so bad. Let me tell you, that is the furthest from the truth.
It is the furthest. It is the truth.
And you will probably will see why soon, but it's the furthest from the truth. I'm just... I just have high standards for Aubameyang. I think a lot of the fan base do. Some obviously, like I say, give him a lot of credit for what he's done for Arsenal, and I do not ever forget that. But I have high standards. I was a striker. He's a striker. He's someone I actually have a lot of love for and admire as a striker and what he's done. But I have to be real. I want the best for the club right now, and I think James is right in saying that, and I agree. Is Lacazette suits the style of play more of that what Arteta wants. But is Aubameyang a better striker? For me, I think he's a better striker than Lacazette, yes. But for the style of play, for the style that Arteta wants, no. That is that, yeah,
like
man.
Pepe, I think Aubameyang has suffered for these Arteta tactics at times.
Yeah.
And this approach.
Yeah.
But
Aubameyang
you know, as he could still obviously be doing better.
Yeah.
But by
was,
the way, I thought, you know, he's working hard. He's trying to do all the right things.
He was a top goal scorer in the Premier League. That is not an easy feat to achieve. Like he is a class striker. Obviously, he's gone through bad patches, but he's amazing. I love Aubameyang. And everything about him. I don't want to make this a show. That's just going to get a bit mushy. But everything about him, the way he interacts with fans and whatnot, the mannerisms and what he does outside of football and what he does within football. Just unfortunately, he's just not at the moment firing. So we've got to criticise that because that's what's happening at the moment. We're a fan. You know, we're fans. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Not the cheeriest of shows, but you know, we have to talk about these things.
Yeah, well, I mean. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's not the cheers of shows, but we got away with a point yesterday. We take on Villa on Friday. I'm hoping for.
Just remember, guys, I always try and leave on a positive. Football is a very funny game. In no time it can turn around. Really, like in no time it can turn around. In 2 weeks' time, we could be sitting here, kind of again within points of the top four. And going, you know what, with a couple more wins under our belt, with a place in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, with maybe an easy tie, and we could be saying things look a lot more rosy again. So, you know, there's always that. So, you know, keep supporting the club, keep doing your thing, but, you know, we'll be here to talk about these things, you know, for good or bad or whatever. We'll always dissect them.
Exactly that. Like, listen, thank you everyone for watching today's show. We'll be back again tomorrow for Daily News, and thank you for the love in the comments as well, been very nice to read as well and getting involved in the show. Thank you for all the super chats. We'll see you next time on Daily News. Peace.